right, great afternoon once again to everyone who has joined us on today's edition of the show Scoreboard Reloaded. It is right on 32 FM 94.9. Let's discuss about sporting stories. But today the action is all about the UEFA Champions League match day. 4 games are set to go down today. And we'll talk about the UEFA Champions League. The actions definitely would get started by 6:45 p.m. Where Napoli, there at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium, will be up against Eintracht Frankfurt, and Slavia Prague will be up against the Arsenal Football Club, a side who also has gone through the UEFA Champions League campaign without conceding a goal and also still retaining their perfect record with 3 games and 3 victories. And by 9 p.m., the flock of the games, Atletico de Madrid against Royal Union St. Gilloise, Bodo Glimt against Monaco, Juventus will be up against the Sporting CB. Well, this is a game definitely I'm looking forward to for the man Luciano Spalletti. After he got his victory over the course of the weekend, he said he hopes Juventus can actually get a victory in their coming game, which is definitely against the Sporting CP. But you talk about the biggest ones, finalists in the year 2019, Liverpool against Real Madrid. We get to see these players come up to add again in today's encounter. And for one man, it's all about the return to the Anfield, the club that really made him. Talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, Olympiacos will be up against PSV Eindhoven, and Paris Saint-Germain will be up against Bayern Munich. Another blockbuster game is set to go down today, and Tottenham will be up against Copenhagen. They are in the UEFA Champions League. So these are the fixtures of games are set to go down. But before we talk about the fixtures and also the games are set to go down in the UEFA Champions League for today, there are lots of other developing stories and making the rounds in the world of sports. I'm not sure if Peter told you this morning in the games that went down talking about the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he beat the buzzer to give the Milwaukee Bucks a dramatic 117-115 victory over the Indiana Pacers. And of course, his celebration right after that moment was shushing the fans. That's talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo. And then we talk about the other results of games that went down there in the world of basketball there in the early hours of today. And all I could tell you that the results definitely went the way of some sides. Up for some, it was not the results in which they were expecting. For the Clippers, they lost to the hands of the Miami Heat 120-119. The Lakers defeated the Portland Trail Blazers 123-115. The Denver Nuggets, they defeated the Sacramento Kings 130-124. The Houston Rockets also got the better of the Dallas Mavericks. The Memphis Grizzlies lost to the hands of the Detroit Pistons 114-106. And the New York Knicks also defeated the Washington Wizards 119-102. That's talking about the NBA games that went down there in the early hours of today. And then we talk about tennis stories on the show this lovely afternoon. We are 6-time Grand Slam champion Carlos Alcaraz and the 2025 women's runners-up, that's Amanda Anisimova, will return to Queens next year. But I want to say that yesterday one man pulled out of the games, and he's going to miss the ATP Masters as well. Felix Auger-Aliassime is out of these games, but we talk about those who definitely look like the contenders for these ATP Masters are set to begin that on Sunday, that's the night through the 16th of this month. It's definitely going to be a great time, as we also know that in the women's game it was all Arina Sabalenka, but at this point in the men's game, let's just try to maybe give that early prediction, because in the coming days we might not have time to really discuss about a tennis story. But the early prediction last year, it was Jannik Sinner. Who will he be this year? And remember, Jannik Sinner over the course of the weekend, that's by virtue of winning the Paris Masters, he went back to being the world number 1. So what do we expect at the ATP Masters set to go down in Jannik Sinner's home in Italy?
Well, based on form, don't forget he's world number 1 just in the last few days, where he won against Felix Auger, that you mentioned, the Togolese-born Canadian tennis player. Now will say his season is over technically, because nothing else to play for once we're done with the ATP. Though we still have a few pockets of ATP games that will be happening. The major one has got to do with the ATP finals. So for Felix, there will be a replacement for him. Trust the ATP guys to find one. So it's about checking the guys in number 10, in number 10, in number 9, whether number 9, number 10, number 11, and see who comes, because if number 9 is not ready, number 10 will take the place. Number 11, 10 is not ready, 11 will take his place. So for now, we wait to see who that replacement will be. But in terms of the prediction, still early. But like I said a few seconds ago, it looks like Yannick Sinner, with the form is coming with from the ATP that ended in Paris in the last few days, you want to say he's got a chance to retain what he won last year on home soil. But on the other hand, also there's a Carlos Alcaraz who will be saying, I was world number 1 a few days ago, but because I was hosted from the ATP 1000 in the early part of it, and of course you win the ATP 1000, it gives you a massive point. So that was what the Italian got. So we wait to see how these two will play. But one thing is certain is that both will not be seated on the same point. So you have Carlos in 1 point, and then you have Yannick in another point. So it means that these two will likely play in the semis or play in the final. So we wait to see. But SAMIES, I think this one is for Yannick to miss out.
You think this is for Yannick to miss out? But then the concluding part of the games that went on yesterday, because I'm not sure you also gave that the update from tennis this morning. For the two Americans who faced off, Amanda Anisimova was the one who got the victory over Madison Keys, 2 sets to 1, 4-6, 6-3, 6-2. That was the comeback victory for Amanda Anisimova. And for Rebekina, she defeated Iga Swiatek. That's 2 sets to 1, 6-3, 6-1, 6-love. It's all about the comeback from these two ladies who actually got the victories yesterday.
I did in the morning. Iga won our opening set. Same also with Madison Keys, but the two lost their game. The second game on court in Riyadh was to two American girls. I mentioned yesterday that they were 4 in this year's WTA finals, and Anisimova came back from a set down to beat Madison Keys 2 sets to 1. The other game, Rebekina, also came from a set down to beat Iga by 2 sets to 1. So it means that two ladies who led in the opening set could not get into the second set to win. And as we speak right now, there's another game going on. Another American girl is on court. Coco Gauff is up against Yasmin Paolino of Italy, and Coco Gauff lead by 4-1 in the opening set of that one. And later in the day, we're going to see two ladies who won their opening game over the weekend. Aryna Sabalenka from Belarus, world number 1, against Jessica Pegula, who won 2 sets to 1 against Coco Gauff on Sunday evening.
You know, what a year it has been for Aryna Sabalenka as well. You know, getting to 3 major Grand Slam finals and winning just 2. It actually speaks about our level of that participation also this year. Like we've been saying for the women's game and also for the men's game, the consistency she gave this year is great, but just that she lost some key moments. And one thing that maybe really mad Aryna Sabalenka's that's 2025, it's all about, I wouldn't call that its speech, but the manner in which she responds or to defeat, to loss, and also a gesture to things that happened on the court. It's not really the best from Aryna Sabalenka, the way she handles all of this situation. But above all, that doesn't take away the great athlete in which she definitely is a world number 1. I don't think nobody is going to. I think nobody. She's going to finish the year 2025 as the world number 1.
She will. At a point in time this year, she lost number 1 to the Polish Iga Swiatek. So, and when you mention some of those things that happened in her game against Coco Gauff, where she granted some interviews,
not only there was a Townsend as well.
Yes, she lost to about 3 American girls.
Yes, she lost to Townsend, Amanda Anisimova.
Yes,
and Coco Gauff.
Yeah, but she ended up picking. So you put it in the context of it was the heat of the moment. You know how these things work when you don't get to win your game, and the media just came and just point the mic at you to get a reaction after a game. You're still in that moment, that spirit of questioning yourself how you didn't capitalize on some of the errors from your opponent and all that. So for Sabalenka, I think she has been a better person since those incidents happened to her. And that's why we're seeing her now as world number 1. Put those things aside and, put that aggression on the court, not after it. So it's absolutely looking good for her. And I think that she stands a chance of ending the year as world number 1, because in this one, I hardly see anyone that will stop her. She's going to cruise all the way to the final. Then the final will now be who will she play against? Is she going to play against 𝐒𝐍𝐒, who kind of be a nemesis in the last few years, or we'll probably see one of the girls she played in the group stage play her again in the final. Coco Gauff will be playing her last game against Aryna Sabalenka, so she knows how important it is for her to get a win today against Yasmina Paolini. And if Paolini didn't get to win today, she just come play her last game and then she say her bye in Riyadh. But for Aryna Sabalenka, she looks and of course stands above the other girls in this year's WTA finals.
Well, we actually need to move away from tennis now and discuss a bit from football stories. That's a tragedy that definitely happened, where players fell to the ground in tears as the land of their managers death during the match. Serbia's top flight. That's FK Radnik, 1923 coach. That's Mladen Zigzovic. Collapsed and received treatment pitchside before being taken to the hospital during the side's game at Last Dust Lucani. That was yesterday, but he didn't survive it, which definitely is a sad one there. And well, we hardly see these things in football, but when it happens, it becomes the talk of the town, because we know it's a contact sport. But now, talking about a manager collapsing, and there was just no time to revive his life. May his soul rest in peace. And we talk about the UEFA Champions League games are set to go down. All of these fixtures are set to go down today. There in the UEFA Champions League. 9 games. Of course, I know there are 2 big games, and you would want to set your sights on these 2 games set to go down at the same time. That's Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich and Liverpool against Real Madrid. But which one comes at a big cost when we talk about both teams or the 4 teams?
It's a tough call. You have one at Anfield, you have one at Parc des Princes, and then you say where will it be? So if it's about form, Liverpool, they don't have the same form with Real. But you want to say the last time that these two had an engagement in the league, both won their games, won 4-0. That was Real beating Valencia. Liverpool won against Villa by 2-0. But if you have to look at the last 5 games, then you probably say Liverpool are the ones that are struggling. But Liverpool want to say the win against Villa is a big statement. They want to go and make a bigger statement tonight ahead of the game against Manchester City at the Etihad on Sunday. So the other game that you mentioned, SAMIES, has got to do with holders, Paris Saint-Germain and the Bavarians, Bayern Munich. 2 teams, one didn't left it late, got his job done on time against Bayer Leverkusen. The other left it a bit late. That's talking about PSG against Nice, where they won by a goal to Nico Ramos, scoring in almost the last seconds of that game. So you want to say in terms of form, who is on form? Both teams on form. And when these 2 sides met during the UEFA Champions League final during the COVID year, Paris Saint-Germain prevailed when they had Hansi Flick in charge, and Paris Saint-Germain had the now England head coach Thomas Tuchel in charge. So for this one, I think for me this will be the top of the game. With all due respect to the other game between Liverpool and Real, I think this one will be the top of it in terms of where these 2 teams are, in terms of the form, in terms of players, in terms of coaching, in terms of anything you can put. You want to tick the boxes. I think this one stands above the game between Liverpool and Real Madrid.
Well, a lot of people would say for Paris Saint-Germain, they are not eating their stride, or they've not gotten their rhythm and momentum this season. And probably we can cut them some slack. They went through last season winning the treble. Winning the treble, they went to the Club World Cup, they lost in the finals. And after that, they resumed the campaign. Or before they resumed the campaign, they played the Super Cup, where they defeated Tottenham, coming back also from a goal down to win. And their French Ligue 1 season, it has not really been at the best, because I know we have a lot of chasers now there in the French Ligue 1. But you talk about Bayern Munich on the other hand. They faced off at the Club World Cup also, semi-finals. Let's also not forget that. Where it was a comeback victory, or not a comeback victory now. It was just like that riot at the latter stages, latter minutes in that game, where they won by 2 goals, 2-0. I remember Ousmane Dembele. It was in that game. Yama Musiala suffered that broken leg as well. So, for managers, you mentioned coaches as well. Now, this is Vincent Kompany, whom I think this season he has improved massively this season.
Okay.
And then there is still many people will call him legend of the game. What's his name now? Luis Enrique.
Yeah.
Both managers coming head to head once again. And we look at the quality these sides have. Bayern Munich, I think they've also recruited well this season.
Yeah. But when it comes to players, numbers, both teams don't have that squad compared to Chelsea, compared to Arsenal, compared to a few clubs in Europe, the Real, and a few others. Both teams have got limited. But maybe Bayern have a little edge than the Bavarians. Bayern can easily say tonight they're not going to start Nicolas Jackson playing from the bench. I know
they have a new youngster, 𝐃𝐈𝐒.
Yeah, that's
17 years.
Yes, you can put those one. Well, still new, but not the household name yet. You can put those guys on the bench and say, okay, you look for backup, you get them on board. For Paris Saint-Germain, yes, they also have a few, and hardly will you see Luis Enrique come and use some of these boys play, except when there are injuries to the side. Desiree is out injured. Just checking my mobile now, realize he just won the Golden Boy Award for 2025. Remember what he did during the UEFA Champions League for Paris Saint-Germain, so he has won that in the last few minutes. So he's not going to play tonight. He's out injured. Dembele just coming out from the issue concerning injuries. There's Owels again in that side. So have they been up and running? Maybe you say in the league they've been up and running. The UEFA Champions League also they've not been bad because they've also won all their games. But SAMIES tonight will show a test of what tonight will show a test for them to know where they are. I know they've played a few teams, but for Bayern going there to play against them tonight, I think it's advantage Bayern. But again, my little fear is that I said advantage Barca when PSG went to play against them in Spain. SAMIES, don't forget, remember that in that game, PSG went with plenty of, maybe use the word schoolboys, boys who got no experience with the UEFA Champions League, and we saw what they did to the Catalonian side. So tonight, I'm very careful to say Bayern will run over Paris Saint-Germain. It might not come easy, but if it does happen, that will not surprise me, SAMIES. I'm waiting to see what Luis Enrique will post tonight against a high-flying Bayern side. You said about Vincent Kompany, he's just working for him. He's just working. He's got 2 years on his contract, and that will make him the first manager after Louis van Gaal to get an extension to his contract. Carlo Ancelotti never had one. Pep never had one. Nagelsmann never had one. Flick never had one. What's the name of the old man? Jupp Heynckes never had one. So for Vincent Kompany, he's young, and it's good for Bayern that they have a young manager now in charge and see where it takes them. Now they will be saying, yes, we're dominating Germany, we want to go dominate Europe. And that must start tonight against the defending champion, Paris Saint-Germain.
Starting tonight, also there at the Anfield, I saw that videos of Trent Alexander-Arnold going to Liverpool, where tributes are being laid to Diogo Jota. And the manager that's talking about INT'L asked this to say about the return of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's take a listen to the words of INT'L, and when we'll come back, we'll discuss about that big game also set to go down there at the Anfield Stadium.
I can only tell you what kind of reception he gets from me. I have great memories on the player and on the human being. He was our vice captain. He was my vice captain last season. I have memories working with him who were only positive. And I have memories when I was watching him in front of the television, which are only positive as well. I can remember multiple great moments of him wearing the Liverpool shirt. So he will get a warm welcome by me, and let's first wait and see if he's on the pitch tomorrow and how our fans will react. I have no clue how that's going to be, but.
All right, today listen to the words of INT'L speaking about no other person than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Well, what a return this would be for That's the boy in which made himself a man, or Liverpool made him a man. We are, of course, elect them to that. I know we call it a magnificent UEFA Champions League campaign, moment of brilliance against Barcelona, and so many things he has done. He did for Liverpool before he actually called it a quit last season. But this season, it has been one injury to the other for the Englishman.
Yeah, one injury for him, and you see, no player wishes to start the season and he wants to get injured, especially when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. One of the reasons that they got you is for you to come play for the team, to see how far you can help them when they're in crisis. And when these things happen, it doesn't bring any joy to either the player or the coach, SAMIES.
Surely. But quickly, let me ask you here, for Real Madrid, they've actually been at that perfect side in the UEFA Champions League as well. Do you see them getting a victory over a Liverpool Football Club who also are trying to get themselves back on the feet?
Well, a tough one. If there's any game Liverpool wanted dearly, is for them to play against one of the powerhouses in European football. And now they have it tonight where they play against Real. It all depends on how they start the game. And it's Lord will remind the boys how they got better of Real last season, 2 goals to 0 at Anfield. A game that Kylian Mbappe had a penalty, could not convert. I probably told these boys that we've done it before, we can do it again tonight against the 15-time European champion. So it's a tough call to make. If Liverpool do get a win tonight, SAMIES, some will probably say a kick that City again started. It brings some confidence to the team ahead of the game against City. And for Real, under Xabi Alonso, is going back home, a side where he won the UEFA Champions League, a side where he was tagged as a legend, is going back. Yesterday was good to see him, Dean Hodgson and Jordan Arnold pays tribute to Diego Jota and all that. So tonight, we'll wait to see how the fans will welcome Arnold to Anfield. But it's a game that if it ends in a draw, maybe both managers will be satisfied. But I know both managers will want to win to stretch their lead, and also, of course, stretch their winning run in the UEFA Champions League to 4-4. So SAMIES is a tough one to call, but Liverpool are playing at home. They have the advantage.
Having the advantage, also to another game set to go down tonight. I remember yesterday we were talking about Tottenham players, Mickey Van de Ven and Jed Spence. But let's take a listen to what the manager, in the person of Thomas Frank, has to say about the players.
Mickey and Jed came into my office yesterday unprompted. Just said, I want to say sorry for the situation. They didn't want it to look bad or disrespectful or all kind of perception you can get in this beautiful media world. So that was not the intention at all towards me or the team or the club. They were just frustrated with the performance, the loss, and the booing during the game.
Frustrated with the performance and the booing during the game. They lost the goal to 0 to Chelsea over the course of the weekend here at the Tottenham Stadium. But can they get the acts right later tonight? Still at the Tottenham Stadium against Copenhagen. That's talking about Tottenham. Just a quicker prediction there, Tottenham against Copenhagen.
Chelsea. Spurs, you just have to win tonight. You just find a way to beat the Dane. Because we got another big game coming up on Saturday lunchtime against Manchester United. So I hope Spurs can put whatever happened behind them, what happened in the game against Chelsea, and look at this one and say, let's get this running at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm looking for them to get a win against the Danish side. Arsenal
will be in action also away from home. Can this side also get a victory? 7 players are out of this Arsenal squad. Of things for them at this point. But them, it's all about the defense, winning championships, winning titles. Attack wins you games. And the attack, I don't think we've seen the best of them yet this season.
Yeah, Slava Praga got a point in the last UEFA Champions League game away from home. They play in Czechia tonight against an Arsenal side, who of course also got their eyes on the Premier League game coming. But managers will be saying, let's kill this one first before even the weekend. So I'll probably put my thoughts on that. Tonight, Arsenal should not give excuses. 7 players out. They should get the job done. Early kickoff, 6:45.
Juventus against Sporting. Luciano Spalletti, new manager. Well, what should we expect from Luciano Spalletti? Also, in charge
Continue.
of the side, he won over the weekend.
Yeah, continuing that Sporting side. Juventus, is good to see them win after over 30 days of not winning. But this night, yes, bring that same form, the same attitude, the same spirit to the game against Sporting Lisbon tonight, just the way you did over the weekend when you won your game with your new manager in charge. Now they've won 2 on the bounce. The interim manager won, and of course Spalletti also won. So it's 2 on the bounce for them after they failed to win in many games. So I expect them tonight in Turin to get this one done against Sporting Lisbon.
All right, this is how far we can go on today's edition of the show Scoreboard Reloaded, right on 32 FM 94.9. We'll come later tomorrow, that's by 7:40 a.m. to discuss more sporting stories. Reaction from the games that went down or that are going down today. I am SAMIES, your sports captain, and I've done this alongside Peter. Do enjoy the rest of the day, and bye for now.